All right, let's dive into one of the most fascinating and maybe controversial ideas from Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. We're talking about a strategy that takes one of our most powerful emotions and turns it into an absolute weapon. This is Law 39, stir up waters to catch fish.
So let me just ask you this straight up. When you get angry, do you feel powerful, like you're showing conviction? A lot of people do. But what if I told you that flash of rage, that emotional outburst, is actually your biggest vulnerability, the one thing that can bring you down?
See, in the cold, hard game of power, emotions aren't a strength, they're a huge liability. Think about it. An angry response is an uncontrolled one. And in any kind of strategy, anything that's uncontrolled can be predicted, it can be manipulated, and yeah, it can ultimately be defeated.
Law 39, stir up waters to catch fish. I mean, the name alone tells you so much, right? This isn't about charging in head-on. No, this is about creating just enough chaos, enough confusion, that your opponent ends up making the fatal mistake all on their own.
And this right here, this is the heart of the law. The main idea is that getting emotional is, strategically speaking, a dead end. Real power isn't found in the heat of the moment. It's found in that cold, clear-headed ability to stay objective while everyone else around you is losing their cool.
So how does this actually work? What's the psychology behind it? Why is provoking someone so incredibly effective?
Well, you can think of it as two totally different states of mind. First, you have the emotional mind. It's reactive. It doesn't really think. It just acts. It's impulsive, and because of that, it's super predictable. But then you have the strategic mind. It's detached. It's patient. It stays objective. And that's why it stays in complete control. And this is the key. An angry person is basically blind. They completely lose the ability to think about the long term, to consider the consequences of their actions. They get pushed into making a move, and it's almost always a rash, clumsy one. And while they're just flailing around in the water, you've already taken control of the situation. The fishing metaphor just breaks this down perfectly. Okay, so first you watch the calm waters, right? Your opponent is composed. Then you find the right bait. You figure out what makes them tick, what they're insecure about, what their ego is tied to. Step 3, you stir the waters. A carefully chosen word, a subtle action, something to poke that sore spot. And then you just wait. As they lash out in anger, they completely expose their flank, and they become a very, very easy catch.
But here's the thing. Getting other people riled up is only half the battle. The most important part of this law has nothing to do with your opponent. It has everything to do with you.
This whole strategy is completely worthless if you get swept up in the storm too. The real power, that decided advantage Greene talks about, comes from the huge gap between their fury and your calm. You literally become the eye of the hurricane, calmly directing all this chaos without getting touched by it yourself.
And that's where objectivity becomes your ultimate tool. It's your shield because it protects you from their attempts to provoke you, and it's your sword because it lets you see all their weaknesses with perfect clarity so you can strike at just the right moment. Let's be real, without objectivity, you're just as much of a target as they are.
So at the end of the day, you can't really use this law on other people until you've used it on yourself. This isn't just a law about manipulation. Really, it's a law about self-mastery.
So what are the big takeaways here? First and foremost, stay calm. Stay objective, always. From that place of control, you can spot their emotional trigger, pride, vanity, insecurity, whatever it is. Then you use it. You let their own anger do all the heavy lifting for you, and while they're completely off balance, you just step in and take the advantage they've so kindly handed you.
And we'll end on this pretty chilling thought from the book. It's a really stark reminder of the power dynamic we're talking about. When you master your own emotions and you learn how to play on the emotions of others, you create a whirlpool, and they get caught in it. So the real question isn't just about whether anger is a weakness, it's whether you can stay calm enough to actually use it.